Hey guys, this is Yoda. This will be my dungeon by dungeon talent explanations for Paladin. It's been about a week since the talent rework, and I've had the chance to play around with the talents in every dungeon. I do reserve the right to change everything because obviously I will be playing Paladin for quite a bit more in the season, and stuff can change easily. Might not update the video, might not update the spreadsheet. If you want to stay up to date, you'll have to follow the stream. Alright, so we'll start with the default key build. This is like super unoptimized, but if you never ever want to change your talents, then you could theoretically play this in every dungeon, and you wouldn't really be missing any utility. It doesn't have blind, has freedom, dispel, bop, spell bop, doesn't have 2% from inspiring vanguard, has eye of tear, etc. If you never want to change your talents, this build is fine. Couple notes: I have been playing eye of tear more recently. I've just kind of noticed in a few dungeons where Eye of Tear, like if I'm playing Eye of Tear, I basically want to know specifically in the dungeon when I'm going to press it because it's kind of a damage loss to take it. And even like pushing the button feels bad if it's just going to be wasted. Like 6 seconds just to reduce the melee damage isn't really worth it. But there are quite a few instances in the dungeons where it's very useful, so we'll go over those as well. I also have been playing Faith in the Light more often than Sanctuary plus Consecration and Flame. This is like maybe like 1% damage loss and some safety for being in Consecrate, but the extra block chance has proven to me that it's somewhat worth it. So I've been favoring Faith in the Light. The double Consecrate talents are also fine. It's kind of just preference at this point, but I have been playing Faith in the Light for those curious. On the left side, when we made the initial guide video, we mentioned that Eye for an Eye, Lightbearer, and a bunch of other talents were kind of like one choice node. I've mostly been playing Eye for an Eye just because I'm a fiend for damage. It's like sub 2% of your damage, but you know, that's kind of better in my opinion than Lightbearer, which is like 5% of your healing or something. Judgment of Light's about the same. You could take like Improved Bop or something if you wanted instead of it, but personally, I've been playing Eye for an Eye in most dungeons. So the first dungeon we'll go over is Siege. Siege is the only dungeon where we're playing Bop and Spell Ward. That's because you can Bop for like the gunners when the gunners are making you hide behind stuff, you can just Bop and run through. First one you can kind of bubble through, but the second one I like to save bubble for the next build, so I've been bopping to go through. And then you also want short Bop, so you can Bop there and then Spell Ward immediately after, like 2 pulls later for the rotting wounds on the Vulpiras. Then later on, Spell Ward is also very valuable for like the poison before third boss, and also generally to help your team in third boss and last boss. We are not taking Eye of Tear. This is one of the few dungeons because there's like nothing basically that makes you actually want to use Eye of Tear. The only boss that's kind of difficult is the last boss, and you can't Eye of Tear the last boss, so that's why I don't play it. On the left, we do also have Dispel. We don't need Freedom, so we're taking Fist of Justice and Blind. And we also don't need Righteous Protection because all the diseases are kind of going on you, so we just take Lead the Charge for speed. Alright, so that's Siege. Next we'll go over Mists. So Mist is the other dungeon we don't play Eye of Tear in. We also don't play Bop. There are some poisons at the end, so we take Cleanse Toxins. We take Fist of Justice for the second boss. We take Sack for Righteous Protection for the poisons at the end, like with the flyers. And we're playing Holy Reprieve, so Holy Reprieve makes it so you can use Lay on Hands kinda in the maze. So if you're fighting Double Guardian, for instance, a lot of the time you want to go like Spell Ward into Bubble into like Ardent plus Lay on Hands for the next one, and then if you don't have Holy Reprieve, then you can't do that. This talent I'd say is like not super required, but there's also nothing else really to take, so that's why I'm taking it. So that's the left side. On the right side, no Eye of Tear. That is because I'm not really that scared of any tank busters in here. Anima Slash is kind of scary, but honestly I'd rather just have 2% and higher chance for Grand Crusader against them. You could take Eye of Tear instead of Inspiring Vanguard if the Guardians were really scary, but I feel like as a Paladin, especially after the rework, you have so many cooldowns. You can just Spell Ward and into Bubble, into Guardian or Ardent, and like the Force said, you still have something. Personally, I haven't been taking it, but if you really want, you can. Next, we'll go over Wake and Ara-kara. In these dungeons, I don't play Spell Ward, and I do play Eye of Tear. Haven't found that good uses for Spell Ward. In Wake, Bop isn't super useful, but I still play it. Main uses are for like fixates, like upstairs, and you can also use it to drop the Tenderize debuff, although be careful doing that when there's still mobs alive, because if you're bopped, then everything will start meleeing your friends. If there's like one guy left, you can like taunt him, bop, and then cancel the bop. That's what I usually do. In Ara-kara, bop is super useful, so at the start you can use it like while you're running down so your healer doesn't die to aggro. You can also use it on the second mini boss for the AoE, it works on that. And also on the first boss in particular, if you bop, then it drops the Voracious Bite debuff. However, remember, if you bop yourself, everything starts attacking your allies, except if you taunt. So the way I do it is I wait for him to cast Alarm Shrill, then taunt him, bop, and then once the taunt debuff is falling off, cancel the bop. It's also useful later. You can protect your allies from Dashing Strike from the Winged Carriers. And you can also drop the Grasping Slash debuff on yourself. Again, be careful. You should like calm to your allies. I'm gonna bop, watch out. And then bop yourself and then cancel it immediately. Usually it doesn't get to that because you can like freedom into bubble, into freedom again. And then like the 4th time you need it, you can bop yourself. But yeah, that's usually how it works. We're also playing Dispel. In Necrotic Wake, you can Dispel from the first boss. Not super impactful, honestly. You don't really need this. You could play this or this instead. Honestly, I probably will do that. In Ara-kara, though, this Dispel is very useful for the last boss, so we play it. This sack is also very useful. In Wake, it makes the first boss completely do 0 damage on anyone you sack. And in Ara-kara, you can use it to prevent poisons either in the first area from the spider spits or at the end on the last boss. Next, we'll talk about City. So in City, we are going to talk about the right first. We are playing Eye of Tyr. We actually drop Inspiring Vanguard in this dungeon. And this is also the first dungeon we're going to talk about where I play 100% spell block. And that is mainly for the first boss. So the first boss has a tank buster called Subjugate, super dangerous. And he's like, basically the only reason I'm actually playing Eye of Tyr is for that boss. Just to have another thing to rotate through. And that's also why I'm playing 100% spell block. So if you tier and then you have 100% spell block, you should be able to survive pretty much any key level from the first boss. Spell Ward is also super useful in this dungeon. It works on the first boss's tank buster. It works on like random dots at the start. You can also use it to save someone in the trash for second boss. Then on the second boss itself, you can use it to immune Rhyme Dagger. I think generally you want to bubble the second one of every set. With the new cooldown reduction, you actually can do that. So if you want to use Spell Ward on the boss, it would be the first set. So you could like go take the first one natty and then bubble the second one. Then like next time he's doing Rhyme Daggers, you can like Spell Ward the first one and bubble the second one. It's like cheating. Or you can just Spell Ward one of your allies to save them from like an icicle. However you want to use it, it's fine. Third boss, you can use Spell Ward to soak a bunch. After he knocks you back, he spawns some orbs, and then he does a tank buster. You can like Spell Ward to block the tank buster, and then also soak the orbs with your Spell Ward. It's kind of crazy. Then last boss, you usually use it to save someone. You can Spell Ward the tank buster, but it only blocks half of it. So yeah, that's City. Oh, also, I don't play Poison Dispel in City because I like to play Holy Reprieve for the first boss. We do have Righteous Protector, or Righteous Protection. So usually you don't need Poison Dispel, but that is one choice node you could change. I'm also playing Unbound Freedom in City for the last boss in particular because anyone who has Freedom doesn't get rooted by Umbral Weave. So we don't have to kill like 3 roots. Or, 3 from just me, and then anyone else who also breaks their root, then you have to kill 1 less. Alright, next we'll go over Batol and Dawnbreaker. So the right side hasn't really changed much. We still need spell warding, and we still play Tyr. In Batol, the Eye of Tyr is mainly for the golems, the Lava Fist, and the Shadow Flame Slash. Eye of Tyr is just kind of useful against those. And also the first boss actually on his bleed. He does like bleed into Commanding Roar, so if you don't have a Cot or a Dwarf or something, then Tyr is also useful for that. In Dawnbreaker, Tyr is mainly used for the first boss and also for Tacticians. One thing I've been doing with the Tacticians, especially in the pull where it's hard to kite, you can wait for them to rage and then you push Eye of Tyr. Make sure you don't do it when they're doing their frontal, so like you can check their spell queuing if you have the add-on or the weak aura. And then you can see when they're going to rage and when they're going to do frontal. So if they do like frontal or rage into frontal, then you can tier like after the frontal. Or you can tier like as soon as they rage, either way. That's what I'm using Eye of Tyr for there. Spell warding is useful just to save your allies. And also you can immune the second boss's tank buster and the first boss's tank buster and Umbral Rush. So yeah, spell warding is super useful. And also you can use it on the last boss. So yeah, great talent. On the left side, we're playing Holy Reprieve again because of Lay on Hands I think is super useful. I don't really want to think about, oh, I just bubbled, now I can't use Lay on Hands. Or, you still have to think about it, but you have to think about it a bit less with this. We don't need Righteous Protector, so we have Lead the Charge. Don't need Bop, don't need Freedom. So that's Batol and Dawnbreaker. I play the same talent build in both. Next, we'll talk about Stonevault. Oh, one other thing, in Batol and Dawnbreaker, make sure you have 100% spell block, if you can. This build is like made around that. Okay, next, Stonevault. Another dungeon where I play for 100% spell block. That's because of the Shadow Claws from the Despoilers and the Machinist boss, Igneous Hammer. The right side is still the same as Batol and Dawnbreaker. Have a lot of defensive talents, no room for Inspiring Vanguard, unfortunately. Eye of Tyr is here for, as we mentioned, Shadow Claw, also the first boss, and Igneous Hammer. In Stonevault, we also play Short Bop. So the other dungeon where we play both. You can use Bop on the first boss. If he's about to tank buster you and you're gonna die, then you just bop yourself, taunt, and then cancel Bop. Short Bop is also useful because it reduces the cooldown of spell warding, which means you can spell ward way more Shadow Claws and potentially more Igneous Hammers, etc. We don't need Poison Dispel. We do play Holy Reprieve because this dungeon is super dangerous and I don't want to think about my Lay on Hands cooldown. We have Freedom because there's a bunch of guys that slow you near the area where another dwarf applies fracture to you, so yeah, that's there. No poison dispels, so we don't play Righteous Protection, we play Lead the Charge. And I believe that is it, the Stonevault. Alright, so that is all the talent builds. As I said before, remember, this could change at any time. Make sure you tune into the stream to see if you want to see if I'm like changing stuff. And also there will be a spreadsheet linked below the video, in theory, that has a cheat sheet, like a link to all of these talents. Also, the add-on I'm using here is called Talent Loadout EX. Super nice in my opinion, lets you save all your builds for every key. Then if you notice, I also have builds for every boss, although that's probably going to change soon. We'll see about that. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Peace out.